Okay, welcome back everyone. Right now we're going to go over section 8, and this one is entitled Sound Vibrations. This one's about 14 pages long, so we're going to do our best to make it through as much as we can. So, section 8, Sound Vibrations. All that the ear perceives in the beautiful and wonderful music of a symphony orchestra is simply motion of one dimension, or motion in a straight line. Noise and tone are then simply terms of contrast. Noise is due to the non-periodic vibration. So basically saying so let's say there's 3 instruments. Here are 3 instruments. And each one of these instruments, even though they're producing different types of sounds, it's still all working within one wavelength. And the sensations that you hear within, a high pitch and a low pitch is simply the change of the rate of the vibration. Tones are sounds having continuity, and containing such characteristics as pitch, frequency, intensity, and quality. The vibrations produce various effects in the atmosphere, such as displacements, velocities, and accelerations, as well as changes of density, pressure, and temperature. Because of the elasticity of the atmosphere, these displacements occur periodically and are transmitted from their source in radial directions. These disturbances, as they exist in the air, constitute sound waves, simply because of displacements of the periodicity, meaning the time periods between the string of each note. And these disturbances, as they exist in the air, constitute sound waves. Nearly all methods for recording sound waves make use of a diaphragm as the receiver. The eardrum, the telephone receiver, the phonograph, and the radio illustrate the method by which the diaphragm is set in vibration by the direct actions of sound waves. Now the diaphragm, for those of you who don't know what the diaphragm is, it's the muscle which breathes, and like say when you breathe in air, it's expanding downward. In a way, it's contracting. It's pulling downward. That's what's bringing the air in. It's like a suction. Like this muscle pulls down, and it's pulling the air from out of the ether into your lungs. Kind of like when you have like the pressure of it. For example, when you have, let's say a sheet of paper on some plastic, let's say a trash bag, for example. Okay, we'll take a trash bag and we'll put on a set of paper and tie a string to the end of that trash bag. And when you pull the bag, a trash bag might not exactly be the best description, but let's say when you pull it, the pressure coming from that pull is causing the paper to sink in. Likewise with you, the pressure being conducted from the pull of the diaphragm is what's causing the air to be drawn within your lungs. A diaphragm responds with remarkable facility to the great variety of tone combinations. The telephone and radio are convincing evidence to the degree of perfection attained by these instruments. But what is still more wonderful is the fact that a diaphragm in reverse action may set up vibrations and thus reproduce sound waves of any description. It is done by the diaphragm of the phonograph, which is mechanically pushed along by the record. Okay, we're talking about a different diaphragm right now. The intensity of a simple vibratory motion varies as the square of the amplitude. For this reason, vibrations in their original form are usually inaudible because they do not cause waves in the atmosphere, as illustrated by the string of a violin without the instrument, or the reed of a clarinet without the tube. A sound-producing instrument has 2 functions, the generator and the resonator, which may be illustrated by the strings of a piano and a sound board. So using my example, us for example, okay, we have a generator and a resonator. Our diaphragm is our personal generator. As we breathe air in, we all need air in order to create the vibrations within our throat, our resonator, to create the vibrations of sound. and the vocal cords of the human body in the mouth. Okay, now he's using this for an example. The diaphragm of a drum of a body, and the mouth of an organ, and the tubes. It will readily be seen that the resonator can give no tones except those received from the generator. The quality of the tone will then depend upon the degree of sympathy which exists between the generator and the resonator. To tune a sounding body is then to adjust the resonator to its natural period of specified frequency. When they are in tune, the response will be out of the maximum frequency. But when they are out of tune, there will be little or no resonance, and consequently no efficiency. Hearing is a sensation produced by the auditory nerve. These vibrations, or sound vibrations, are communicated to the brain, and hence within the consciousness. The auditory nerve communicates the vibrations of the sonoriferous ether in such a manner as to duplicate the sound vibrations within. Hence it is the action of this energy energizing the nerve that produces a sensation of hearing, which is in reality the reproduction within us of that which is heard. Now that is pretty cool. To make this clear, there may be a little love song, a military march, or a funeral dirge in the air, but you are conscious of neither without the use of an amplifier. But with the use of this instrument, you may listen to either of these by a simple selective process, and your emotion of love, or of triumph, or of sorrow is aroused by the different vibrations which have been projected into the ether from broadcasting stations a mile away. And as they are being projected through the ether from miles away, they are being picked up by your amplifier, your ears, and then those ears in turn take it to your brain, your your nerves, and then are depicted by your consciousness. And then you decide whether it's sound that you like, or it's sound that you don't like, or something that just, of a nature that you get to decide what it means to you. The energy coming from the sun during the day interferes with sound. For this reason, radio is always more efficient after sundown, in winter than in summer. In other words, audibility is increased as light decreases. During the total eclipse of the sun, which took place September 10, 1923, the efficiency of the radio increased more than 15 times while the eclipse was taking place. To be exact, the audibility of the radio at 9 o'clock in the morning of the day of the eclipse was 32, while at the maximum or totality of it was 490. So what he's saying, it's during the day when there's a lot of light present within the atmosphere that causes a lot of displacement. It causes a lot of discommunication. It causes a lot of these radio waves to not travel so well, so far, so clearly. And when it's nighttime, then these radio stations, these tuning stations, these vibrations, these radio frequencies travel better at night when there is no light present. That is why in the morning of an eclipse it was 32, while at the maximum or totality of the eclipse, which will be nighttime, was all the way up to 490. That's a big jump. The ether is the universal connecting medium, which binds the universe together and makes it a coherent whole instead of a chaotic collection of independent, isolated fragments. It is the vehicle for the transmission of all manner of force. It is therefore the storehouse of potential energy. It is the one all-permeating substance that binds the whole of the particles of matter together. It is the uniting and binding medium, without which, if matter could exist at all, it could exist only as chaotic and isolated fragments. It is the universal medium of communication. The activities of nature are reduced to a series of laws through the discovery of underlying causes, and these causes are found through the observation and classifications of correspondences. There are no new laws. All laws are eternal. They never change. They have always been in existence and will always continue to be in existence. All manifestations of physical life depend upon these laws. The laws governing chemical combinations, the conservation of energy, electric radiation, chemistry, and physics are all applicable in the organic domain, and the conditions and experiences with which we meet depend upon our understanding and application of these laws. The great advantage which the violin has over all other orchestral instruments is due to the control the performer has over the instrument, not in the instrument itself. The tone quality, as well as the wave form, remains constant so long as the bowing is constant in pressure, speed, and direction. These waveforms arouse emotions of gaiety, happiness, passion, force, gloom, or anger by causing vibrations in the nerves of the sympathetic nervous system. The emotions are the gateways of the soul, the most holy place. And remember what we were talking about, the emotions, that the emotions are what connect you to your mind body, your psychic body. All scientists lead to the threshold of this unseen vestibule and point within. Music is the science of sound. Tones, rhythms, mathematical ratios, and even silences, all conveyed by mere vibrations in the ether, which are only a means of actions, built within the mind of the person who created that action. And yet these, the deepest and most profound emotions, are aroused. One whose heart is hopelessly callous to the spoken message and impervious to the written word, can be reached by the invisible, impalpable, incomprehensible, unspeakable pathos aroused by the ethereal vibrations of the trained musical artist. But, however great the artist, his place in the scheme of things will depend upon his ability to act in harmony with his environment. For if each member of an orchestra were to play regardless of his fellow players, the combined result would be a painful discord. Although separately, each might produce an agreeable harmony. We are each an integral part of the organic whole, and must therefore act in concert. Each must be consciously attuned to the others, and perform his particular part in relation to the whole. He must not interfere with the parts of others, nor play a solo when a symphony is in the program. In other words, we're all in this together. And we can't do things without each other. Just like if we do things without each other, then yes, maybe we are able to build something, that is great solo. But it's never going to be as great as it could be if it's actually in a group with others. By yourself you could create, something amazing. But when you're in a group with others, you could create a masterpiece, something that will be remembered for others. And the others which he uses in the orchestra display are, a violin mixed with a harp. Okay, maybe not a harp, but it mixed with, a harp would be something that would probably be best by itself, simply because of the type of instrument it is. Okay, but the violin, and then the trumpet, and then a saxophone. All these three different instruments, when they come by themselves, they can create something beautiful. Okay, but when they come together, they create something amazing. Only if they work in harmony with each other. Because if they aren't playing in harmony with each other, then it's just going to be a grand scheme of discord and sounds. The golden tone of the cornet, the bird-like warble of the flute, the stately sonority of the trombone, the reedy richness of the clarinet, the ringing clarity of the bell, the brassy note of the bugle, the dulcet blending of the violin, the enchanting sweetness of the harp, the enticing notes of the piccolo, and the martial roll of the drum are all necessary and essential in the grand ensemble of the orchestra. The instant a piece of music is broadcasted, by putting the proper mechanism to your ear, you can get it as clearly and distinctly as though you were in the same room. This indicates that these vibrations proceed in every direction. Wherever there is an ear to hear, it may hear. Like your phone, for example, when you play music on your phone, the speaker from the phone is creating the vibrations that the person, the actual band, recorded into a recording. And it proceeds in all directions. If then there is a substance so refined that it will send the sound of a musical instrument in every direction, so that every human being who is equipped with the proper mechanism to receive the message, is it not possible that the same substance will carry a thought just as readily and just as certainly? If it is possible to arouse the emotions of love or power or fear by sending vibrations through the ether for thousands of miles in such a manner that anyone may contact them, is it not also possible that any emotion, any thought, may be sent in the same manner, provided only that the sending station may be sufficiently powerful? It is but these thoughts, emotions, and feelings are not received consciously, for the very excellent and simple reason that we are conscious of nothing except that which relates us through one of the five senses. The five senses are the only method by which we may contact the objective world, and as we cannot see a thought, nor can we hear it, taste it, smell it, or feel it, there is no way by which we can become conscious of it. But that does not mean that we do not get it. In fact, by far the largest proportion of our thought reaches us subconsciously, or intuitively. The subconscious is provided with an entire system of nerves reaching every part of the body, and this system is entirely separate and distinct from the objective. It is called the sympathetic. And remember what we were talking about, the sympathetic system, and how it worked when it came with, you know, okay. The subconscious is the organ of the subconscious would be being the solar plexus and the sympathetic nervous system within the body. And we also learned in NASM.
Oh.
Yes.
Are you filming something?
Yeah, I was just reading this chapter.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, Mom. Did you need something?
Is this yours?
No.
Chris says it's not his. It says Ephesians on it.
It's not Dad's?
No, Dad said it's not his. Chris said it's not his.
I know Aaron. Yeah, I know Aaron doesn't wear this.
No.
Or Drew.
No, the only other person it could be is yours. Or Jarrett.
I don't know if Jarrett would wear this.
I don't either, but...
Oh. Thank you, Mom.
You're welcome.
Sweet. So my mom just found this necklace, and we can't find out whose it is, so I guess I'll take it. But it has a quote on it from the Bible, or a scripture from the Bible of Ephesians 6:11 and 6:12. And I can't really see what it says, but powers, the rulers of the darkness of this world, wickedness in heavenly places. Wow. But against principalities, against spiritual. Oh, I know which one this is. When I used to sell solar, when I just really started getting a lot into this stuff, I had actually met a guy, and we were talking, and that was one day I was given a Bible, and we were talking about like the Bible and some quotes and scriptures, and he was saying that man shall not war by flesh and blood, but by principalities and spiritual wickedness. And that is exactly what all of this is. You know, all of this are the spiritual principalities. You know, it's all these principles, the principles of nature, you know, the laws of nature, the law of vibrations, the law of growth, the law of attraction, all these natural laws which just happen naturally, these how interesting. Thank you. Where were we? I know we were talking about the sympathetic system, how the solar plexus being the organ of the subconscious mind, also the solar plexus and the sympathetic nervous system. the subconscious mind being the sun of the body, also known as the light of the body, the spirit of the body, the powerful side of the body, the intuitive side of the body, basically the one that deals with your internal world. When I say when you touch a hot object, okay, going back into the human body, the science of the human body, okay, the conscious mind. Okay, he's saying that the conscious mind is only able to perceive things through the 5 physical senses, such as sight, taste, touch, smell, and hearing. Okay, those are part of the conscious mind. And we are able to close our eyes, go within ourselves, and to completely, disconnect everything from the external world and just go within ourselves and live in a whole nother world. A world that has no end, has no limitations. And this world is our own inner world, our mind. We're able to think any thought we want to think. We can visualize anything we want to visualize. We could imagine something that's there that isn't there yet. And moving back into the subconscious, so you also have three muscle groups in your body. Okay, there's the cardiac muscles, there's the smooth muscles, and there's the skeletal muscles. Okay, the cardiac and smooth muscles are under the control of the subconscious. Okay, you have no conscious control over it. Okay, the skeletal muscle system is under the control of the conscious mind, because we choose where we want to move. Because, for example, your heart is a cardiac muscle. Your cardiac muscle, it has its own built-in rhythmic system. You don't have to consciously think to make your heart beat. It's something that happens automatically. But you do have to think in order to move that hand. It is a conscious thing that you do, because you could just sit there and your heart is still beating, then you could also move around and your heart's still going to be beating. They're two totally different functions. And the skeletal muscle system is the only system that has what are known as motor units. And when you consciously think to move or to grab something, my brain is sending out electrical signals all the way down the cerebral spinal cord, all the way down to the nerves of my arm, shocking what's known as these motor units. And within the muscle, it's called sarcomeres. Sarcomeres are the functioning units of the muscle, just like a neuron is a functioning unit of the nervous system. And these motor units that get shocked, then in turn shock the sarcomere. It shocks the muscle, causing it to contract, causing it to move and grab whatever it is that you want to grab within the material world. And the subconscious part of us, when we grab or when we touch something that's really, really hot, and I use this example in another video, I'm going to use it again because it works perfectly. When let's say you touch a pot, for example, and it's really, really hot after you just got done making your chicken, you automatically pull it away before you even realize or even start thinking like, man, that was hot, because your subconscious took over, your sympathetic nervous system took over. It received the message of it being hot before it got to your brain, your conscious mind, and you're actually able to start thinking like, that was hot. You act on impulse, you act on instinct. And that is one insight when it comes to the difference between the subconscious and conscious mind and the organs that they are responsible for within the body. The subconscious is provided with an entire system of nerves reaching every part of the body, and this system is entirely separate and distinct from the objective. It is called the sympathetic. Every pore in your skin is provided with a tiny hair, which is an antenna reaching out into space, and is infinitely more sensitive than the antenna which receives the messages on your radio. This is why and how the wild animals of the jungle receive messages of danger long before the hunter ever sees them. They sense the danger and are off. Thought is the vibratory force caused by the action of the brain upon the mental ether. When we think, the mind must first be energized by a particular energy. This energizing of the mind causes it to act upon the stimulus of that energy, and a thought is made in the mind as the result of such energizing. There is then the energizing of the brain, the mental action of thinking, and the making of the thought as a result of such thinking. Begin to think. The thoughts will follow each other in rapid succession. One thought will suggest another. You will soon be surprised at some of the thoughts which have made you a channel for their expression. You did not know you knew so much about the subject. You did not know that you could put them into such beautiful language. You marvel at the ease and rapidity of which the thoughts arrive. Whence do they come? From the one source of all wisdom, all power, and all understanding. You have been to the source of all knowledge. Every thought which has ever been thought is still in existence, ready and waiting for someone to attach the mechanism by which it can find expression. And that mechanism is the brain. You can therefore think the thoughts of every sage, every artist, every financier, every captain of industry who has ever existed, for thoughts never die. And remember how we were talking about, I believe in the first video on planetary vibrations, that in order to attach our brain, our antenna, to whatever thoughts that we want to obtain ourselves, we first have to start thinking, making the effort to think on that level, or on that plane of thinking. Okay, we have to bring ourselves in tune by first thinking about it. Because remember, when we think, not only do we send out thought energy outside of us, well, it also manifests. That thought also has a physical manifestation within the body. It has to be expressed in form, in one way or another. And when you think, you are setting your brain cells into activity, and these cells literally move themselves in accordance with the nature of your own thinking. Now that's the end of section 8 on sound vibrations, and it's ending with a quote by Burton Bradley, and he quotes, "Back of the beating hammer by which the steel is wrought, back of the workshop's clamor, the seeker may find the thought that is ever master of iron and steel and steam, that rises above disaster and tramples it under heel." That one was actually pretty cool. Back of the beating hammer by which the steel is wrought. So whatever products of these that this blacksmith, he's in his shop, he's building his hammers, he's building his swords, he's building his equipment, and behind all that equipment is the thought of what he's gonna build, the idea of what he wants to create. And then the seeker may find the thought that is ever master of iron and steam and steel, that rises above disaster and tramples it under heel. Thinking. Let's think, shall we? Yeah, that's the end of section 8. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, I'll see